This video is going to focus on subtracting mixed numbers from whole numbers, just like in the example you see below. Here, the problem is 4 minus 2 and 2/5. And you'll notice, just like in the description, we have a whole number up top, and we are subtracting from it a mixed number. Now you may start to wonder, how are we going to do this? Because, well, a whole number doesn't have a fraction over here. It just has an empty spot. Subtracting mixed numbers from whole numbers is actually really easy when we think about regrouping, because regrouping is what we're going to have to do. So let's try this first example. I basically have 0 as a fraction over here, next to the 4. I can't take 2/5 away from nothing, so I'm going to regroup. My 4 is going to become a 3. Now, what's going to go over here? Well, in order to subtract fractions, we need a common denominator. That's one of our main rules. Common denominators allow us to add fractions, and they allow us to subtract them. So if I want to make this as simple as I can, why not make my denominator 5? That way I already have a common denominator between here and there. And since I'm taking one whole, which here's my one whole that I took, how many fifths is that? Well, it's 5/5. So 4 becomes 3 and 5/5. Now I can do my subtraction, because I can take 2/5 away from 5/5. That gives me 3/5. And then we subtract our whole numbers. 3 minus 2 is 1. So our answer is 1 and 3/5. Let's try this again with a different example with a different denominator. Here we are subtracting 4 and 3/7 away from 9. Once again, we don't have a fraction, so we're going to have to start off by regrouping. If I take 1 away from the 9, it's going to become 8. And here's that 1. And what do you think we want our denominator to be this time? Think to yourself, what would make this the easiest for me to subtract with? Hopefully, you notice that our denominator over here is 7. And say to yourself, oh, I can make one whole into 7/7. Common denominator is going to let me subtract, and one whole is equal to a fraction that has the same number as the numerator and the denominator. So 9 becomes 8 and 7/7. Now we subtract. 7/7 minus 3/7 is 4/7. And 8 minus 4 is 4. So my answer here is 4 and 4/7. Let's try one more. I'm going to put the example up, and I want you to pause the video and give it a try on your own. See if you can figure this out, and then we'll go through it together. For this final example, we're going to subtract 1 and 8/12 from 7. So, as I mentioned, pause the video, give this one a try on your own on a separate sheet of paper. See what you come up with. Alright, now hopefully you've paused the video, you've got your answer. Let's go through it together, and then you can compare. We can't subtract just 8/12 from nothing. Can't subtract 8/12 from nothing up here, so we have to regroup. The 7 becomes a 6. And that one whole we had, if we want to make this as easy as possible, it's going to become a fraction with 12 on the bottom, so it's going to become 12/12. So instead of 7, we now have 6 and 12/12. We can subtract, so 12/12 minus 8/12 is 4/12. 6 minus 1 is 5. And our answer looks like it's going to be 5 and 4/12, but don't forget, we need to simplify. You should always simplify your fractions. 4 and 12 have a common factor of 4. So if I divide both of them by 4, I get 5 and 1/3, and that is our final answer. Hopefully that's what you came up with, or you at least came up with 5 and 4/12. That means you're on the right track. Just don't forget to simplify. So what did we do here? We could not subtract nothing, or 8/12 away from nothing, so we had to regroup our 7 to make it 6 and 12/12. We chose 12/12 because of the denominator, so we could subtract easily. And once we had 6 and 12/12, we just subtracted our fractions. 12/12 minus 8/12 is 4/12, and 6 minus 1 is 5 for the whole numbers. And then we simplified. Hope this helps, and good luck subtracting mixed numbers from whole numbers.